I picked up this canoe like 2 days ago. It's been too cold to bring it out, and you see it up there on top of my truck. And of course, the cats have got to walk all over my truck all the time. You see that? Now, I have a built-in top carrier on my truck, and you probably don't notice it in the videos that I've done. But this particular rack over here, this actually folds down and then it clips over there. So I can just flip it down and use a top carrier when I need it. If I put the canoe front ways, it actually hits the top of my truck, so I had to put it back ways. I probably could have gone a little further toward the front, but this will do. I got crazy amount of rope back there. I didn't want it coming off, but I ordered some ratchet straps. They're coming in very shortly. But this is an aluminum canoe. It's 16 feet. It's a little dirty inside, but it's in good shape. It's 20 years old. You can find these all over Facebook Marketplace, okay? You know, for cheap. Now this one cost me $400. Now at one time these were very expensive canoes. And an aluminum canoe, well, just being lasting 20 years speaks volumes to you. See, there's nothing on them. If you consider up here along the edge, a lot of canoes will have a wood. And me and my dad used to have a fiberglass canoe, and it sat in the back. And the trim all along the edge like that was made out of wood. And it had rotted. And we had to replace it and everything. I mean, just more work. Aluminum canoes, all you have to do, okay, is, you know, wash them down with soap and water, dish soap, take some chrome cleaner to them, and they'll have a real nice look to them. You can paint them if you want to spend the money for that. I think it's $100 for, 125 bucks for a gallon of paint for it. And if you want to do that, that's not me. A lot of people camel them. The back has, if you look there, that's a square stern, and that's where a motor goes. I've ordered myself a Mercury 4 horsepower motor, which is sitting in a box in the bunker. That's going to go on the back of this thing. Now, I didn't go the route of a used motor because there's so many things that can go wrong with them that if somebody didn't take care of it properly, you would just end up stuck with this 50-pound weight on the back of your boat. So I bought it brand new. And motors are not cheap. For the Mercury 4 horsepower, I paid $1,500. Monday I'll be putting it together. I got a stand coming in and getting it all set up. But getting canoes is really, really easy, guys. You can get canoes that are not square stern, and they have just the regular roundness at the front and the back, as you see here. So I've seen them on Marketplace, and all you got to do is search aluminum canoe. And I've seen some for $200. I was like, wow. Now, a lot of people want the new canoes because they're lighter, okay? And that's a good thing. This one probably weighs about 100, 125 pounds. You get into a 17-footer, which is a foot longer than this one. It's a little bit more weight. Two guys, no problem, 50 pounds apiece. You can pick this up and carry it. But a lot of people are alone when they canoe, so they want lighter canoes. And there's material being made that is made out of what's made out of bulletproof jackets, and is what's going on. Now they get a lighter canoe to get down to 50 pounds, But just like lighter camping gear, okay, you get into, the lighter you go, your gear's not as strong. So you have to find that happy medium to where your gear's pretty strong, but it's not super heavy. Like you could run a canvas tent and be bulletproof, but the bloody tent's gonna weigh 50 pounds, you know. So you have to come out with a whole different idea. An aluminum canoe is so strong, it's amazing. Me and my dad have taken these things down rapids and hit the side of the canoe with a big rock, and there's even a little bit on this one. Not much, but you'll see it's got kind of a scratch there, and then it got a little ding there. I might be able to bang that out and get that out of there. I have to take the heat gun, remove that sticker, and get it all cleaned up, but it'll look pretty nice when it's done. So I went affordable used on the canoe, but I almost went broke on the motor. And as you see in my other video from the gas tank to connect to it, I mean, when you get into motor stuff, it gets crazy expensive really quick. But it is convenient. You know, so you think this canoe will probably hold 800 pounds. And you figure 2 grown men, one in the front, one in the back, is 400 pounds. You figure 2 dogs, one in the front, one in the back, 100 pounds each, 600 pounds. So then I'm kind of left with 200 pounds. Well, not really. Throw the motor on the back, I'm down to 150. So now I've got about 150 pounds that I can put in my canoe. If I go above that, I'm going to be overloading it, all right? So all my gear in my backpack is extremely light. I carry extremely light hiking equipment. So really, you go another 50 pounds in camping gear for sleeping, and you know, and then you throw 40-pound cooler in it with some food. I'm on the borderline of the 800 pounds. But it's not like I'm going to be in a super hurry to get where I'm going. A canoe allows you to go places nobody else can go, and I really mean that. There's a place I go, me and my dad used to go in Canada, and everybody would go to this lake that was in town, and all the tourists would go there. They would even populate the lake with fish. They'd buy them because it was good for the economy for the city. So, you know, they'd buy 20,000 pike and 50,000 pickerel, and they'd throw them in the lake. So the tourists would all come down and catch them, and they'd think, wow, that's really cool. So the next thing you know it, that's where everybody went. We never went there. We'd take a canoe, and we would go into nowhere land. Literally hopping over 4 or 5 beaver dams, portaging. I mean, we went places that people didn't go, literally. And when you pulled that canoe over and you threw that fishing rod in, oh, you could fish for 10 minutes and put 60 bass in your canoe. I mean, it was crazy how many fish we caught, from pickerel to pike, and they weren't tiny. I mean, we were catching pike at almost half of that canoe. It's crazy. I do want to try and get up there again, show you guys what I'm talking about, but let's just get everything else prepared ahead of time. So, and if you live in a flood area, okay, like I said, you go search aluminum canoe on Marketplace and Facebook. You're going to get some great deals, especially if that end's round and the other end's round. I mean, square steerings, flatbacks is what they call them. They're a little harder to get. But if you find them, then you can decide if you want a motor or not. You can even put trolling motors on them. I mean, they connect to a battery. A lot of people prefer that because, you know, throw the battery in the front, run the wires to the back, you know, and go maybe 5 or 8 miles down the river. But understand something. Even if the canoe is round at the front and round at the back, they do have things you connect that stick out the side, and then you can attach the trolling motor. So instead of it having it in the back squared up, you could have it on the side. It's also an option too. They do sell platoons for these things that stick out each side to make them more stable. I don't know. I might pick them up. They're pretty expensive though. They're like $400. But me and my dad never used them, but I might pick them up and try them. Especially if you get some rocky water. It'll come in handy. But something to consider. If I lived in a flood area, I'll tell you right now, I would have had an aluminum canoe sitting in my backyard because these things don't rot and they last forever. This one's 20 years old. And at least I'd have a way of escaping if I had to. Instead of screaming from the rooftop saying, please come help me. No, thank you. I don't depend on other people to help me. I know how to get out of a situation before it begins. I'm just old and wise that way. So I'm going to take this off and I'll give you another shot of it. Okay, we got the canoe off. Pretty impressive, isn't it? It's pretty wide too. The wider the canoe, the more stable it is in the water. I wish this one had a hole in the back though, but it doesn't. So, wood looks good on the back. It's just a little dirty. You got some room underneath. Get some tackle box under there maybe. 3 bars. This is not a 3-seater. I didn't want a 3-seater. I wanted 2 seats. The only thing I wish it would have been was 17 feet instead of 16 feet. That would have allowed me a little bit more weight. The bars are great though, because depending on where you go, all gear has to be tied down. Even my motor on the back has to be tied down. Is what it is. My dad went up the river one time. He was drunk. God, he was drunk. And my mother wouldn't let him take me. They had a big fight. I'll never forget that. And he went up the river drunk anyways, I guess out of spite. He got pretty much halfway up there. He flipped the canoe. Motor went in the drink. Everything he had went under. He lost it all. Now canoes float, but they do flip. He had to go back into town the next day and asked one of my cousins, Dale, because he did deep sea diving, if he'd go back and get the motor. And he did. So they went back up with my uncle's boat and he dove down and got the motor and brought it up and whatever other gear he found. I thought it was something else. Good thing he didn't take me. I might not have come back alive. I guess Mom was right. But that looks pretty good. Let me flip this over and let's have a look at the bottom. Oh. So let's zoom in on this bottom. I see some marks here, which most of that will come out. I might be able to tap that one hole out a little bit. Somebody went through something here. That's just a scratch, that's surface. That'll come out. Now this here, no big deal. I might be able to bang it out. And then I got, this was a good one. But for something that's 20 years old, I mean really guys, this is really impressive. It really is. No damage on these at all. I mean, look at that, 20 years old. Can you imagine that? I don't even think they make these anymore. Not out of aluminum. Because they got, you know, lighter material, but it's not as strong. I'm telling you right now, you go down the rapids with one of these, you'll feel completely safe. But you can do a lot with these. And they're a lot of fun. I mean, just think with the amount of camping gear you can take. I mean, you can take more camping gear in one of these than you can carry on your back. And you can make much faster distance with one of these, even if you didn't have a boat motor. I mean, you'll just glide right along, right? So it really depends. But for $400, I'm pretty impressed with it. I just got to get some chrome cleaner and clean this up, and it'll look good. And then Monday, get that motor put together, and we'll be ready to go. I got a few more things I need. Not much. There's this one thing I was looking at. It had a set of wheels, and it's a dolly. That cost about $200, and I was really impressed with it because it'll hold 300 pounds. So you might have to make a couple trips, but it would really save a lot of time by putting it underneath the canoe, being it weighs 120, and portaging that to where you want to go. And then the stuff in the canoe you'd have to carry or try to find a way to put it on that dolly. But there's a few things I'm looking at. But if you don't have a canoe and you live in a flood area, please go get one. It'll be the best prep item you ever did. Go to Facebook Marketplace, go look around, and find yourself one. And if you're only gonna buy one that's round like that at both ends, a couple paddles, you need everybody in the boat needs their own safety jacket. I mean, you're pretty much ready to go. But check your local state laws in your state. Some of them require you to have a rope you can throw out, a few things like that, depends on the state. And some require you register them. You may have to be, if they don't have a title and you can't register it, then you may be in trouble. So your state may require that. Tennessee doesn't require any of that. All they require is a little license that costs me like $50 every 3 years or something. And you stick some stickers on the side of it. That's about it. So, 16-foot all aluminum canoe, over 20 years old, will never rot. They're indestructible. Go get yourself one and have some fun. I'll catch you guys on the next one.